Durham's Nothing But Truth.
Welcome back, Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. It is my great pleasure to bring you our good friend, Brother Bert Harper, Pastor Bert Harper. He is the co-host of Exploring the Word with Dr. Alex McFarland, heard here every day, right here on the AFR Talk Network, 3 to 4 Central. But then you have Washington Watch with our good friend Tony Perkins, and then yours truly. I can give you the rest of the lineup, but you already know it's just that solid. Recognizing it, he is here. Bert Harper, Pastor Bert Harper. Bert, welcome back. Great to be with you. Excited to hear about the Fishbowl retreat. This is something that is a part of the greater program of repairing the foundations, and understanding that, certainly we can all relate to that, of seeing what's going on in our country. So the Fishbowl retreat is an opportunity for pastors to get some guidance, it sounds like.
It is,
Bert?
Crane, and it's good to be with you, man.
Good to be
I
with
want to
you,
tell
buddy.
you on Exploring the Word, I know
Yes.
Tony Perkins is between us, so I miss saying, next is Crane Durham with Nothing But Truth. And so I miss you, man.
I appreciate that, buddy. I miss you, and I look forward to seeing you as share-a-thons and everything else. People have to know we really do have a family here at American Family Radio.
We do, and it's
Pastor
good.
Bert,
Yeah.
you've been great, and I appreciate you in so many ways. Hey, brother, tell me, what about the Fishbowl retreat?
It's in October. October's Pastor Appreciation Month, Crane, and pastors do need to be appreciated these days. And
Amen.
the Fishbowl Conference is for the pastor and his wife. And we say pastor and wife, and we know there's ministers out there who are women who have husbands. But, you know, with the how Jan and I conduct that, they can come, but it works better with pastors and wives. But if someone else wants to come, they're welcome to. We'll fit that pastor lady in with the men, and that men with the ladies some way or other. We'll work it out, okay? But it's in October, 15th, 16th, and 17th. And you can register on repairingthefoundations.net. Go to the Fishbowl Retreat link, and it will tell you the lineup. We got Alex McFarland, our co-host on Exploring the Word, and Dan Celia, Dan the man who does the financial. And so we're excited about these guys. They're going to try to come and encourage pastors in the area of finance, encourage the pastors of living in a postmodern world. You know, you talk about what's taking place and people not viewing things the way they used to. It's because we've passed up Christian, and now we've gone to a postmodern world where just about anything goes. And this, I hear it all the time. People legitimize what they believe just because they believe it. And so the show, Nothing But Truth, what they're lacking, Crane, is the truth. And so we want pastors to come to be encouraged so they can go back into their pulpits and preach that truth. And so that's what it is. It's an encouragement to pastors and their wives to stay in the fight, to be in there, be strong. We want to encourage them and challenge them and bless them. So
and you've been in the Fishbowl yourself with your best half, Jan. So it's a part of this, isn't it? Isn't this a part of your firsthand experience and the great success you've had? One of the things you've done is with this retreat, it sounds like, hey, we understand the pastor, yes, and their wives. Because without our wives, I'll tell you right now, if I were a pastor, I already love my wife more than I could love anything else in the world other than Christ. And I will say this, if I were a pastor, my heavens, no pun intended. But Bert, it's a great approach, it seems, that you're taking that foundation in itself.
Well, Jan and I, we were in the ministry 37 years as pastoring, and we're still in the ministry. We hadn't stepped out of it. I preach just about every Sunday. Jan and I go to churches, and we do the marriage retreats, the marriage conferences. We stay busy. I mean, our life is as busy as it's ever been, but we're wanting to encourage pastors. Jan and I went through it. We know what it's like, and we share from that experience, Crane. You're right, and
Pardon me for interrupting, sir.
Yeah.
But what is one of the harder things to deal with that people don't understand about being a pastor? Because
I
there are a lot of-
believe with all
Go
my
ahead.
heart, here's what I enjoy not doing, and that is I go home and I know I'm home. The pastor's work is just, you remember that old saying, a woman's work is never done, a man works from sun to sun. Well, a pastor's work is never done. He goes home knowing he could have done that, he should have seen this, he could, and then the phone rings, and the phone rings, and you never know when you're going to have to get back and go. And I'm sharing with churches, 90% of the phone calls that pastor gets after 5 o'clock are usually ones that could have waited till the next morning. And the stress that's on pastors like that. Now, the pastors that I know, and I was one of them, I wanted to be there when I needed to be there. You understand? I
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the things, the phone calls that came in, many of those could have waited until later. And you'd have been better off and fresher in the ministry. So, to me, I didn't know that a person could live another way until I wasn't living that way, Crane. I didn't know people got to go home at 5 o'clock and say, "Hey, my day's done," and that's a new experience for me.
And it's interesting because you have such a gift in the way you approach things. Whenever I've seen you, there's a natural smile to your face, and I can only imagine what a pastor goes through with the amount of what you just described are requests of things they can do, and there's always more work to be done, and what their wives have to contend with as well, and it's a part of that. And so this is a real, to communicate, this is a real resource for your pastors out there to get in touch, because you can struggle a very long time without knowing these things. This is a way to take action and really help grow your ministry and spread the gospel. Another part of this, and I want to get to Dr. Alex McFarland in a second, your co-host, but I would like to talk about Dan the Man Celia, because this is the financial part of things. Listen, that doesn't change when you go into a church and everybody says, well, we don't have to worry about finances. No, there are concerns always. So, Pastor Bert, tell me about that.
Oh, listen, the pastor has to buy the food. He has to buy the same things that everyone else has. And Dan is going to talk about that. He's going to talk about the finances that we live in. He's going to talk to pastors about making sure they're staying on track with their possibly retirement, with how to use the money. And Dan's a preacher. You and I have been around Dan enough. I mean, he would qualify as a preacher, Crane,
Amen.
And so he's going to come in and he's going to encourage them. He's going to make himself available to talk to them and say, hey, you can do this. And so it's not just what he'll say in front of the people. It's what he'll encourage them to do when he's talking to them one-on-one and one in a group. And so Dan's going to share that from a pastor's, not just a church, but a pastor's income. And are you setting it up to where you're making the best decisions? And so Dan's going to do that from a financial point of view. And he's well qualified. You know that. And,
Amen.
So we're excited about Dan being there.
Yeah, well, it's when people start to realize that they have you, Dan the Man, and Dr. Alex McFarland, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, they really don't understand what an opportunity this is, because without knowing you all, it's sometimes tough. But one thing is that Dan, Alex, you have, is that when people ask a question, when you communicate, some people can have the right answer, but if they're not able to communicate it, then it really doesn't matter at times, because then they're not able to get that information and to get that truth to the next person. And what you do and Dan does and Alex does is they never feel stupid by asking a question. And a lot of us don't ask questions because we feel like, oh, well, that's going to be a silly question. And this is what the opportunity is about, because when the pastor can go and feel comfortable to ask questions and grow, it's great soil for that, big time. And it's October 15th through the 17th. Now tell me, Dr. Alex McFarland, your co-host on Exploring the Word, the Great Exploring the Word.
Yeah, Alex has never been short on words, and he and I laugh, and I give the short answers, and he gives the details, and we work good together, and I mean, he and I are. Especially when we're live together, Crane, you know how it is when you're sitting at the same table live. There's a lot more energy. So Alex is going to be there, and he's subdued on the radio. You get him in front of a group of people like this, he's kind of like I do. He comes alive. People will see me preach, and they say, "Well, man, you're not quite that lively on the radio." And I said, "Well, I can't hit the microphone all the time, you know." And so, but Alex is going to be there. He's going to be talking about the postmodern world. And a lot of folks don't know what that means. And we're talking about raising your family. Some of these pastors have children and grandchildren, and we're going to talk about them. We're talking about the family of the pastor. So, Alex, and the best speaker you haven't even talked to yet, and that's Jan, my wife.
Yes.
I'm telling you what, she's going to talk to the pastors' wives, and she loves them. See, Crane, Jan and I started this 15 years ago for, Fishbowl before we was with AFA. Because we had a burden for pastors and their wives. And now AFA has permitted us to bring this on board as part of AFA's ministry. And Jan is going to be, man, those wives, they need to be there and hear her heart. And it's going to be a great time. So they can go to repairingthefoundations.net, go into that link, Fishbowl Retreat, $400. Pastor Appreciation Month, Sunday school class can send them. Elders can send them. Yeah,
I can give the number online right now. It's before me.
Go ahead, brother.
662-844-5036, extension 300.
That's it.
That's Barbara Cogan, 662-844-5036, extension 300, or register online, repairingthefoundations.net. I'm going to put this link up on the Facebook page. Pastor Bert, it is great talking with you, and we've got to do this more often.
We do, Crane. I enjoy being with you, man. Somebody as crazy as I am, I enjoy them.
I love you, brother, and my best of your best half, and she certainly is the headliner in every way.
Thank
you, buddy.
Yes.
Great to be with you. Take care. That is Repairing the Foundations, the Fishbowl Retreat. Pretty extraordinary opportunity that's offered here for $400. Go to repairingthefoundations.net. Dan the Man Celia, Dr. Alex McFarland, Pastor Bert Harper, and Jan Harper. You've got to get this for your pastor. You will see the benefits. You just got to get it. I got to get to the next break. So, more truth on the flip side. AFR Talk.